Whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action.
It's time for Police Blotter Facts Friday. All week long, we ask you to send in your funny stories from your local daily or weekly newspaper or now the internet. Just any kind of story that's kind of humorous involving the local constabulary. And you send them to grace@howiecarrshow.com, grace@howiecarrshow.com, or you can still fax them to us at 857-284-8864. We still have a fax machine, believe it or not. And you can listen to the story being read. If it's good, you could win a nice prize if we pick it. All we ask is that you just, whether it's a something from the local police log or the police blotter. That's what some of the police departments have for the weekly papers. They do the column themselves. Or it could be a standalone story. As long as it's funny or somewhat humorous, send it to grace@howiecarrshow.com. And at this time, every Friday evening, we read the best entries of the week, in our opinion, and the two best entries of the week get a nice prize. What do they get this week, Grace?
They'll get a copy of Kennedy Babylon 1.
Excellent.
Yeah, the Kennedys were in the news a lot this week.
Yes, that's where the Tempest Storm.
Yes. I told Howie, he used to do the Kennedy Babylon shows, and there were a lot of great pictures in those slideshows. And the picture of Tempest Storm never left my mind. It was interesting.
It was in the New York Post this week.
Yeah.
Grace. It was a fairly unforgettable photo.
I saw it and I was like, where do I know that woman from?
And she's not to be confused with Blaze Starr, who we also had an affair with, another famous stripper of the 1950s.
Yes, so they will get a copy of Kennedy Babylon 1, but now it is time for the runners-up. They do not win, but they have great contribution to the show. Naked Pennsylvania woman allegedly entered neighbor's home and stole beer. When authorities were called over for reports of a woman sitting on her neighbor's porch while knocking back a bottle of Corona Extra,
Really?
They say she was wearing nothing but a blanket that was draped over her. Now, here's the story. Okay, according to her neighbor, the bizarre night kicked off when the woman entered his house, this man's house, through his basement, and then went upstairs and helped herself to some brew out of his fridge. According to a complaint filed by the neighbor, his son and his friends were home at the time of the uninvited visit. The teen son said he was able to convince the intruder to leave. That is when the naked woman left the front porch, drank a beer, placed the old bottle in a flower pot, and then smashed another flower pot that was on the porch.
Alcohol was involved in this incident, obviously. You said the night began. I'm guessing, Grace, it didn't begin at the night. It probably began in the afternoon, maybe even the morning, the way this woman was behaving.
Yeah, and usually there's a third thing you can add in when someone's naked and there's booze involved. There was a fight put up with the police. She did not go quietly into the night. Oh, this is a recent story, Howie. Just a quick update here from the New York Post. Lindsay Lohan's dad, Michael, busted for allegedly steering addicts into rehab for cash.
I'm going to try not to let this destroy my faith in the family of Lindsay Lohan.
I know.
And her mother and her father.
They're such all American, as American as apple pie and baseball, the Lohan family. They might as well be the Brady Bunch. Yes. Michael Lohan received money for helping send addicts to Pride Recovery Center in Florida. Lindsay Lohan's dad was busted in Palm Beach on Friday.
No, I was going to say this area, South Florida, is thick with these rehab the alleged rehab centers.
He allegedly pocketed at least $25,000 in illegal kickbacks. I love that word. In return for steering addicts, including a woman he was sleeping with, into a Florida drug treatment center. Huh. Well, that's like when you're talking to someone and they keep talking about how much they love a product. Like, oh, I love these shoes. And you're thinking, are you sponsoring them? Like, are you getting a kickback? And he must have been doing that with the rehabs. He was probably talking them up.
That's such a pejorative word, kickback, Grace. I prefer the word gratuity.
There you go. Lohan, 60, who keeps addresses in Boca Raton and in Southampton, collected bounties on addicts. He referred to the private
bounties. There's another one of those negative words.
Wow, this is quite the story.
Go ahead.
It goes on. Lohan, one of the addicts was a woman he referred to Pride Recovery while he was in a sexual relationship with her. For that woman, whose name is revealed only by the initials BM in court papers, Lohan received a May 4th, 2018 check from Pride Recovery amounting to $5,000. So this is wild.
So he was paid. He was paid to sleep with her. He was acting as a form of gigolo.
Yes.
Race.
Yes. He was investigated by our Sober Homes Task Force, and he's being charged with receiving kickbacks for referring patients to drug
gratuities.
He is a crafty man. I gotta say. Okay, I'll look into that a little bit more later. It's a little bit long. Next up, here we go. Man with 35 girlfriends busted for fraud over birthday gifts. A lot of gigolos in the news today.
35 girlfriends. Wow.
Yeah, this is a very interesting story. A Japanese fraudster has been busted for allegedly scamming over 35 different women with whom he pretended he was in a serious relationship. Takashi Miyagawa, a 39-year-old part-time worker with no fixed address, told each of his girlfriends that his birthday fell on a different date so he could receive oodles of gifts.
And he was only part-time? This sounds like a full-time job.
I was thinking the same thing. 35 women. He must be exhausted. All the while, his gals were completely oblivious to each other's existence. In the most recent scam, the serial sex swindler told one 47-year-old lover that his birthday was on February 22nd, despite it actually falling on November 13th. Another victim said he convinced her his birthday was in July, while a third mark was fooled into thinking it occurred in April. And I guess someone busted him. This Japanese broadcaster busted him with all these photos.
Yeah.
And in two of the photos, he's holding up different birthday cakes. Yeah. So he got a lot of presents. I mean, I don't really know if that's illegal. It's not illegal to date people and get gifts.
Yeah, they're all the U.S. attorney in Boston is always busting people, Nigerians basically, who claim to be U.S. servicemen. They just did a big one last month about it. These Nigerians were claiming to be U.S. servicemen, and they had some kind of problem, and they had to rescue somebody, and they weren't princes, they were masquerading as military.
Yes, and it's always old women who, it's sad. It's always old people who fall for it.
Yeah.
Cops tell Saints player Marshawn Lattimore, you're going to shoot your bleep off during arrest. We always talk about this when guys have their guns just in their pants pocket.
Right.
It's like a ticking time bomb. An Ohio cop warned New Orleans Saint cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, you're going to shoot your bleep off after the officer found a firearm tucked in the NFL's waistband during a car stop last month. Lattimore was arrested.
I don't know why holsters aren't very expensive.
Well, listen, you're anticipating, Taylor. Listen, these cops had good advice for this young man.
They were very
who was in the
nice to
NFL.
him.
Listen to read some of the stuff that the cops said to him. I mean,
well, first they said,
encounters between the police and civilians don't always have to be inflammatory, right? Sometimes Sometimes the cops can teach something to these guys, and in this case they did, right?
So,
tell them what they told the guy.
The first they said, you guys got anything besides weed in here? I can smell it. And then they asked if they had any weapons or firearms, and the Marshawn told them, yes, I do have a firearm on me. He kept his hands on the wheel the whole time, and the cop said, is it loaded? Is it going to go off? And then he confirmed it was loaded. So he told him, you're going to shoot your bleep off. Another officer added, get yourself a holster, bro. During the interaction, Lattimore kept both of his hands raised. At one point, cops realized that Lattimore was a player for the Saints, and they said, the amount of stuff you've got going on for you, bro, it's not like you're a, bleeping chump out here, bro.
See, the problem with a holster is you have to wear a belt in order for it to work.
Yeah, I guess that does kind of cut down on. That does
cramp some people's style.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they had a very friendly encounter, though.
Yeah.
Minutes into a 911 call, a Florida driver realizes what smashed through her windshield. Did you hear about this, Howie?
No, I haven't heard about this one.
This is from the Miami Herald. This woman, she was near Daytona Beach, and all of a sudden there's just this massive like clash. And her mother was in the front seat, her 71-year-old mother, and her mother gets this big gash on her head and just starts pouring blood. So they call the cops and they're trying to figure out what happened. Did they hit someone? Whatever. And the cops come and everyone's trying. It's mayhem. And then all of a sudden, there's a turtle in the car. And the woman says, "There's a turtle in here." And the cops say, "A turtle?" And she says, "Yes, a turtle." And a turtle flew through the windshield and hit the mom in the head. And the daughter was quoted as saying,
Is this real life Mario Kart? What's going on here?
the daughter was quoted as saying, "Oh my gosh, my mom has the worst luck," or
Was
something
Joe
like
Biden
that.
involved? Was he playing too?
It says, "A piece of concrete. It came flying through the glass. There's a turtle in there," the caller said. "A turtle?" the dispatcher asked. "A turtle, an actual turtle."
What
Sounds
was
like
the
a children's
turtle's
book.
name, Grace?
Myrtle. Ethel Myrtle, the turtle.
Sure wasn't Yertle the turtle? That's one of the unbanned Dr. Seuss books, I believe. Yertle the turtle.
All right, last one here. But first, I want to let everyone know that Police Blotter Facts Friday is brought to you by Pantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. All right, this is a quick one. New Jersey man sues Dunkin' Donuts after scalding hot coffee spills on his lap.
Again? Talk
A
about a
man-
recurring theme here, right?
Was there a top on it? Yeah. Did you put the top on, or did they put the top on for you?
They put the top on.
And they made the top.
This is a Seinfeld episode. That was what that cut is from. And it's so true. In this case, the unnamed female employee, he says, without any due caution, served him scalding hot medium coffee and that the lid was not put on properly.
Oh,
She
no.
did not secure the cup and the lid of the beverage.
You get me one coffee drinker on that jury, you gonna walk out of there a rich man.
That's one of the best episodes.
Does he not have a responsibility, though, to check to see whether the lid is securely fastened on the cup?
Howie, I have to ask you this. As someone who drinks black hot coffee, multiple times a day, have you ever spilt on yourself?
I mean, just little bits, but I mean, never on my crotch, a whole cup, if that's what you mean. No.
Well, I have a feeling if someone did spill a whole cup, you would be a little litigious.
I would, but again, the first thing I do is check to see where, even if I'm just going up and getting a takeout and I'm on foot, I check to make sure that the lid is on securely.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, the place could probably offer you like a free plain donut and you'd be totally fine. You could be bribed very easily. "I'm so sorry, sir. Here's a Kreller."
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Not what it used to be, I don't think. Okay. All right, Grace. We'll be back with the winners in just a moment. I'm Howie Carr in the Seaport District of South Boston.
Howard, you can. Is that my winner?
I don't know if it's your winner or not. If you've been reading it,
Is it about headbutting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's one of the winners. But first,
Okay.
I just want to do a really quick one. Upstate New York couple claims man tossed used cups in yard for nearly 3 years. This is in New York, and it's just the craziest story because this woman kept finding used coffee cups in her front yard, and she told the police about it. And so then finally, she set up a camera, took a picture of the car.
Mm-hmm.
They tracked down the guy. It was someone she used to work with at her union who didn't like her, and he was driving by every day to throw out his old.
That was his way of saying I don't like you, with throwing a used coffee
That's
cup in her
the height
yard.
of
3
passive
years?
aggression.
Over 3 years, that's the best revenge.
It's kind of
just
pitiful.
eating away at someone. Okay, now we have our two winners, both local stories, which I'm very excited about. Taxi driver to face charges for holding on to $13,000 flute a passenger left in his cab in 2012. They cracked the case. Police say a worker at the shop took a picture of the flute and its serial number during the visit and afterwards and checked them against a database of missing flutes. Who would have even thought there was such a database? And determined it may have been the one
The
missing.
guy had the flute for 8 years. You think you would have checked to see if there was a serial number on it, though, right? I mean, and then
I didn't know they put those on.
I
flutes.
didn't either. But I mean, if you have the thing for 8 years and you're trying to figure out how to make a score, you think you'd examine it fairly closely.
Yeah, common sense flute control is definitely necessary right now. It's a ghost flute. Back in 2012, a performer with the New England Philharmonic reported her expensive flute was missing after a 3:30 a.m. ride in a Metro cab from her full-time job at Howl at the Moon on High Street. They have great music there. And she reported it, and then she probably really accepted the fact that it was long gone, Howie.
Right. It's amazing how many people leave these expensive musical instruments in cabs or on subways or in buses, isn't it? You read these stories all the damn time.
You got to hold on to that like it's,
like it's worth $12,000.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So here is the local story. This is from the Boston Herald. Man headbutted Boston waiters, crashed Benz before getting caught for pot. Jason Wages, 29, of Fall River, was out on the town with 3 friends shortly after 6 p.m. Thursday at the Ocean Prime restaurant when he began to harass some of the female waitstaff. He then started headbutting people and flipped out. Wages made his graceful exit by threatening to shoot everyone in the place before grabbing his keys from the valet and skedaddled. But he didn't go far before bumping his Mercedes-Benz E-Class into someone's Volkswagen as he drove away. He then committed a second vehicular headbutt, crashing the Mercedes into a gas line at the Public Works building on Northern Ave. Soon after, officers finally found Wages on Dry Dock Avenue, where a woman told cops she'd seen 2 men dashing around with large trash bags. The police found the other 2 friends, the other 2 guys.
Here's a lesson. Before you decide to go on a bender, get the drugs out of the car.
Exactly. The police found the 2 other alleged schleppers in a garage nearby, and they also found the 2 trash bags, which were full of 53 large, heat-sealed bags of pot, according to the police. Officers also said they found $8,600 in cash.
Are these friends of Jaisal Correa?
That's what I was going to say. Jaisal Correa, the former mayor, his trial is starting right down there in the Seaport District in U.S. Federal District Court on Monday. So tension must be running high among his former constituents, Taylor, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well,
another lesson here
found in the car.
Another lesson here, Grace. The
Yes.
Seaport District is back. This is the first time we've had a brawl in the Seaport District in Police Blotter Facts Friday in over a year, isn't it?
We're back, baby! Thanks, Piantudosi Baking Company, for sponsoring Police Blotter Facts Friday.
I'm Howie Carr.